is my Chapter 10 vlog presentation, Dialectic of Direction and Change. What we're going to look at first is define what exactly is dialectic of direction and change. Our textbook says that it's the willingness to follow a particular path with the courage to move in a different direction when necessary. It says that dialectic of direction and change is just one of three metaphors of communication ethics praxis. We have the business and professional communication is the first metaphor. We have the dialectic of direction and change, and then public testing. As you can tell by my highlights on the dialectic of direction and change, it is intertwined within business and professional communication. As we go on, what exactly is involved with direction of change? Well, first off, it's a commitment to a certain direction. And it assumes that a given place or position will last all the time. It will never change, which can be a dangerous assumption. Secondly, only responses that are attentive to direction and change interplay ensures the chance for survival. Therefore, if you're not open to direction and change, it may be a very slim chance that you survive the communicative atmosphere of the organization or place that you're in. And thirdly, business and professional communication ethics, it works from the assumption that direction and change together make it possible for us to respond to the rapidly changing market trends and conditions. And think about something like the economy. That is a very good example. But within direction and change, there are three different subsets that I kind of want to focus on before I get into my movie clip example. Unity of contraries is the first part. It pretty much is encompassed into when in business and professional communication, these are just the two main parts of a communicative action. We've got the clarity of direction and the courage to pivot and change direction. When you think about clarity of direction, you've got to have a clear path of where you're going to go. How many times would you exactly take a map and go somewhere without having a clear path or direction? And then, of course, you've got to have the courage to pivot and change direction, especially if you're in an institution that has always done things a certain way, and then finally you see the atmosphere has changed. You have to learn how to pivot yourself or move yourself and change your direction into where the trend of the flow of the organization is heading. Again, those are things that can contribute to survival. And one of the things that I got from this part was the union of these two paths protects and promotes goods, which is what? Survival, and then, of course, competitiveness. The second one is beyond manners. We think of manners as having good manners, holding the door open for somebody, saying please or thank you, sharing something, and that is a very important part of communication ethics, but that's just merely just a very, very small pinpoint in all that is involved. Look at this on beyond manners. Think about this. It can be more than just in our behavior, in our dress. Of course, acting nice, looking nice. Think back to that. What does that exactly mean? Looking nice? Being nice? Well, dressing in a respectful and professional manner. Being nice, acting in a respectful and professional manner. But it's more than just about that. Now, manners or the good of manners can also mean that the communication flow within the organization or group that you're in, things can go a lot smoother. But sometimes thinking of manners when you're talking about communication ethics can cause a lot of confusion. Because when ethics is characterized personally, it kind of takes away from the communicative or the accountability of manners that's within communication ethics. And then in addition, this sometimes can classify all members of a group as good. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's characterized by the individual or at just the collective group. The third part is public accountability. We talked a little bit about that in the Beyond Manners section, but you can see it kind of grows. Public accountability is not just about a listing of the shoulds. A list causes us to ask what people are doing, and when that focuses on the individual, which can make more of an accessory than a central part of human character. So since when morals and accountability becomes something you wear like jewelry? Very interesting point I would like to make here. Now, my movie clip that I chose to illustrate this point is one of my favorite movies called Sister Act. It's a 1992 movie starring comedian Whoopi Goldberg. This is about a story about lounge singer from Las Vegas, Miss Dolores Van Cartier, who witnesses a mob murder from her boyfriend, and then in order to be protected, she's taking across country to a church where she is going to pose as a nun. While Mary Clarence is there, she is doing more than just being protected. She is changing the dynamics and the flow of the communication at St. Mary's. So, one of her major things that she's doing where she disrupts the communicative nature is when she takes over the choir. In this scene, Sister Mary Clarence is going in and singing a choir that is very much off track in their choral ability, and she takes over. And at the next clip, we see the effects of Sister Mary Clarence taking charge in a community, so to speak, that was very much so, had their own characteristics that characterized the sanctity. But Sister Mary Clarence brought in a little bit of fun and a little bit of innovation into something that was so drastic, so dark and dank. But she added, what I would say, a little color and life to the choir. So the two scenes in Sister Act, I think, do a pretty good job of going back and showing the clarity of direction and the courage to pivot and change direction. The character of Sister Mary Clarence, she was not afraid to pivot and change direction of the choir in the group at St. Mary's. The clarity of direction was first set by the old choir director, but Sister Mary Clarence changed that when she took the courage to pivot and change the direction. It was protecting the good and the survival and the competitiveness of the old choir director and the new choir director. One other thing that I think is very, very much shown in this movie, in these clips, is the manners. It went beyond the manners. The nuns in the church were more concerned with the behavior and dress. But Mary Clarence took it further by taking out the confusion. It was not about the way the nuns were looking and acting. It was what they were trying to get across to the community. In other words, their stern and dark clothing kept out the very people they were trying to reach. And Mary Clarence broke down those barriers and brought in